Hello and welcome to another Honor and Conquer podcast. Before we do the normal stuff that we usually do, before we get into our sponsors, we are now live on Patreon. It allows you to become a sponsor for the podcast on a monthly subscription service, and you can choose the amount you pledge each month from as little to as much as you desire. Each amount has a unique reward set for Patreon pledges, and you will get exclusive access to the Patreon-only feed, where podcasts and information will go live before anywhere else. We have big goals for this podcast. We want to travel America, interview more fascinating people, get their perspective on the world, and be educated in the process. Go to patreon.com/honorandconquer for a detailed list on our goals and what each pledge reward is. So do that. It's been a long time coming for that stuff. It's been something that I've been wanting to do for the longest time, is to get that going. And yeah, it's just craziness. Absolute craziness. So our show is brought to you by the Mark Pro. It is intended for muscle conditioning by stimulating muscle in order to improve or facilitate muscle performance. Both the Mark Pro and Mark Pro Plus will help you recover faster, maximize training results, help prevent injury, and improve conditioning and performance. When you visit markpro.com, they have all the tools to educate yourself on how this works. They have diagrams of where to place the electrodes and what benefits you will gain from each muscle group. Use our promo code CONQUER at checkout for exclusive discounts on both the Mark Pro and Mark Pro Plus. Do more, recover faster, and feel better. We're also brought to you by RX Smart Gear. The RX Smart jump ropes are fully customizable, where you can choose the handle color, to the rope thickness and rope color. Those guys look after your specifications and requirements. Get your ropes at rxsmartgear.com. Use our promo code Honor and Conquer to get 10% off your online order. So the code itself, the Honor and Conquer code, only applies to the custom-made ropes. So nothing else. Nothing at all. Just the custom-made ropes. About time. Last but not least, we're brought to you by About Time. Go to the website, tryabouttime.com. That's TRYABOUTTIME.com for all of your natural supplement needs. They've got the cleanest and best tasting protein family of nutritional products on the market today. They've got their whey protein, pre-workout mix, their pancake mix, vegan options, pro-hydrate drink, melatonin gummies, and of course they just had their new apparel line that was released a couple of months ago now. Go to the website, use our promo code Dion Sekone, that's DIONSEKONE, and you'll get a 25% discount on your online order. So just going back to the vegan options, Megan and I were talking about this last night. The vegan options, we probably prefer the vegan options now over the normal way. Mainly because, I don't know, when we were in New Zealand, there was this other company that we won't say, and there was a pea protein, and it just was too grimy, it was too gritty, and then we realized how, vegan protein, I don't think we're ever going to do it again, and then we found About Time, and then we just fell in love with the vegan stuff, so we've been getting vegan, even though there's only 3 flavors, the chocolate vanilla, and the cinnamon spice. They've just been the best for us to use. So, yeah. And they've got their vegan brownie stuff too. Some people like it. I'm not one of them, but that's okay. We got different taste palettes. So, that's it for the sponsors. It's just me today, guys. We've got the video going. I thought I'd blast up the video. And this is more of a test podcast, but of course there are some things that I really want to get off my chest. I enjoy doing these ones by myself, because they're kind of like a break a little bit. I enjoy doing ones by myself and ones with my friends. I feel like they're a bit of a break. Where this is episode 60 now. So that's crazy. That's crazy. But there's been some crazy shit happening in the news, and I kind of wanted to talk about it for a little bit. Within the week. Jeez, it's been within the week. Teen star from The Voice, Christina Grimmie, I think it's pronounced Grimmie, was shot and killed during a fan meet and greet. And that in itself, I always kind of think to myself, where was the security? You know, with everything happening so much now, and with everything that has been happening, you would assume that security measures, especially for a pop star or a teen idol person, security would be beefed up. But it's just crazy. How do you let? I mean, what were the guards thinking at the time, and why? Like, I wonder what they were thinking. But yeah, that shit is just insane. And on top of that, that we had just, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday morning at 5 a.m. I woke up to mass killing of Pulse Club. It's a very well-known club within the LGBT community. And a lot of people are saying that it's the biggest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. And, obviously, you see it on Facebook all the time. As soon as this happened, you go to Facebook, you look at, the links and everything that's going on, and you go in the comments, because there's always that one asshole. There's always that one asshole that always says, don't forget about this that happened, Americans do this, Americans do that. And it's like, bro, not thousands, but hundreds and hundreds of people just died. And honestly, the first thing you want to bring up is that it shows disrespect, and it shows no class on their behalf. And it just makes me wonder, like, is this honestly the perfect time to bring that up? You've lost so many people within the LGBT community, yet you want to bring up this one time that this happened, and it's gone unsung without, it's gone unpublicized from, I guess you want to say, news outlets. And I started thinking to myself internally, like, why do they have to keep saying it's an LGBT, like, club? But at the same time, I have to think to myself that it matters. It matters because these people are coming in, and, religion is always going to be behind it. And I always internally think about these things, about how crazy of a world that we live in. And then they talk about, what's the real issue. They start talking about guns and the rights and wrongs behind the guns. While I saw a lot of posts that were very sympathetic to, Pulse Club, X amount of people died, X amount of this, X amount of that. You go to the comments and people are saying, oh, and this is why NRA paying money, doing this, doing that. Like, bro, shut the fuck up. Again, hundreds of people just died, and you want to talk about gun rights and firearm rights? I know I'm not American, and of course that topic has big importance here in America. But at the same time, man, spare a thought for the people who just died. Just died. Less than 24 hours ago, they just died. And you want to try go on social media and you want to prove a fact that, firearms this, firearms that. Shut the fuck up. Yes, it's an issue. It's been an issue long before this shooting has happened. Yet you want to talk about it. You want to go in the comments. You want to prove how right you are. You want to prove everyone wrong because, you're so right. Everyone else is so wrong. Before you start crying about gun control, give a moment for those who have been lost in the fucking families who are left behind. It's just all insensitive bullshit. And yeah, I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash behind it, but I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck. I've seen a lot of friends on Facebook talking more about the gun control and less about the actual thing that happened. This is an example of gun control. Yeah, probably. But this is also an example of how you value things right now. You're more into worrying about guns than you are about human life. And yeah, you'll probably say, there's always the other side saying, if we ban guns, people will still find a way. Yeah, of course people will still find a way. People will still find a way to do anything that they want to do in their lives. So just fucking, it's a double-edged sword, You're gonna make someone unhappy. If you ban it, you're gonna make the people who are pro unhappy. If you make it pro, like right to bear arms or whatever that amendment is, then you're gonna make the other side unhappy. But at the same time, I'm thinking, what's that Second Amendment? I don't even know. But when they say we all have a right to bear arms, yeah, probably. But think about when they made that. Think about when they actually made that. It's kind of like no, I won't say that part. But think about when they. Sorry, guys, I got a really bad throat. Think about when they actually put that down. The right to bear arms. They made that when they had muskets and swords, right? Or am I wrong? I'm probably wrong because I'm not American. But they had the right to... But now think about it. Right to bear arms. Okay. What do you want to have? Fully automatic shotgun or, those machine guns, submachine guns? It's just... I don't know. And I am not for or against. I've always played devil's advocate. I've always been in the middle with certain things. Certain things. And it sucks now because since moving to America, I've become more political than ever before. And it sucks. It really sucks. But then, I don't know. I guess it's not. And I said on my Facebook recently, or a couple of weeks ago now, I said to myself, I really wish I could vote, but I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to vote because I'm not a citizen. I'm a resident. But, geez, man, it's just a gnarly thing to think of, and you think about. I was thinking the other day I should really go on Facebook and look for people who think that this shooting is a good thing. I am not saying that it was. I'm just saying that there are going to be religious groups out there that are going to say that this is a good thing. Gosh, how broken is their mind? Just like the West something Baptist Church, Westboro. Who gives a fuck? Fuck those guys. Anyway, moving right along. I don't want to spend too much time on that. I just had to kind of talk about it for a little bit. And kind of just spew out my thoughts a little bit, what I'm internally thinking. And I did. Okay, moving on to lighter things. I watched this documentary last night called The Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. If you don't know who Jake the Snake Roberts is, he was a very popular professional wrestler in the 80s. I want to say late 70s to the 80s. I would even say into the 90s, really. Because the last time I saw Jake Snake Roberts was King of the Ring versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that whole Attitude Era came around. I think it was the last time I saw him. Anyway, that's not the point. That's not the point, people. And if you don't know anything about Jake Roberts, he's been having probably the hardest time post-wrestling with drugs, addiction, being estranged from his family, his sons, his sister. I think it was his sister. And it would show his wrestling career in the indies. And what I mean by the indies, like the independent scene. So it's not the WWE, it's not TNA, it's not Ring of Honor, it's just small town wrestling shows. And he was just being drunk. He would, fandangle around the ring. He wouldn't be all there. He would say he's ridiculously out of shape. we just got Netflix the other day, and this was actually the first thing that we watched, the wife and I. And DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, has this program called Ddp Yoga. And he contacted, I think it was he contacted or Jake contacted DDP or vice versa or whatever. DDP went over and he wanted to put Jake through a workout, and DDP wanted to help Jake through his struggles. And seeing Jake's mobility, obviously he's been a wrestler. He's taken a lot of falls. He's taken a lot of hits. His entire body is broken. Got bad mobility in the feet, bad ankle mobility, bad knees. He's got bad toes. He's got bad feet. His posture is really weird. And it's crazy to see that this guy, Jake the Snake Roberts, who I would watch when I was a kid, the feud that he had with... who was the feud did he have? Jake the Snake Roberts and... I can't remember the feud that he had, but anyway. I want to say Macho, but that was when he was a heel. Heel means bad guy. But a good guy, I can honestly not remember. Roddy Piper? Anyway, who cares? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, but when DDP was at his house, go taking him through a workout, taking him through all of this stuff, shows how bad his mobility is. And the entire documentary is not just his body, it's obviously his will and his mind and how he kind of looks at the world now. Seeing him at the bottom and rising to the top, where the WWE actually invited him to come back into the show, come back into Raw, their every Monday show. And not only Raw, but as well as the Hall of Fame. He got inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame in 2014. Has to be a big milestone, because WWE don't just let anyone else come in. If they have, it's apparent with China. China has multiple problems, and she did that thing with in porn, but so did Tammy Lynn at the same time. Anyway, but they had to make some sort of tribute to China when she passed away. But again, they didn't. That was the only time that they touched China. That was the only time that they mentioned anything about China, mainly because of his past. And the fact that they've let Jake the Snake back in, Jake Roberts, is a huge testament to how far he has come from going to his meetings every day, going to his recovery meetings every single day for 90 days, being there with DDP, and even getting a call from Scott Hall. Scott Hall is a very well-known wrestler. If you don't know who he is, Google him. Scott Hall also had his own demons. When DDP and Jake the Snake Roberts went to the airport to pick Scott Hall up, he was in a wheelchair. He was wheelchair bound. Couldn't move, couldn't walk, had bad knees, bad hips. Even when DDP was taking Scott Hall through a workout, his hips were popping. You could hear you could audibly hear his hips popping from just holding warrior pose. And it was just these people that you watch on TV. It dawned on me too, and it always does, but it really did that time. Is these people are just human beings at the end of the day. Yes, they look like superstars, but the only time we see them on TV is wrestling, cutting promos, and doing signings, and that's it. We don't see them in their personal life. So this documentary was a really interesting glimpse into what they go through every single day of their life. And thankfully, Scott Hall and Jake Roberts overcame their addictions, and they were both inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, which I thought was insanely awesome. So cool. And they talk about how addiction can be an absolute killer. They talk about, you know, how no one's got their back anymore. No one's going to support them. No one's going to help them. But then the fans, it's the fans that will never forget the legacy that they left behind. The fans will obviously see the struggle that they've gone through, but they won't forget Jake the Snake Roberts and the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. They will never forget the match that Jake and Undertaker had at WrestleMania. They'll never forget his signature move, the DDT. They'll never forget Damien, his snake that he carries around all the time. And even with Scott Hall, the fans are never going to forget that he was Razor Ramon. They're never going to forget his Intercontinental Championship run. They're never going to forget the WrestleMania 10 ladder match with Shawn Michaels and SummerSlam ladder match as well with Shawn Michaels. They're not going to forget that. They're not going to forget the invasion of WCW back in the day with Kevin Nash as well. They're never going to forget the NWO. They're never going to forget the Outsiders. They're never going to forget the WCW Tag Team Champions, the Outsiders with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. And they're never going to forget that legacy, which is crazy to me to think. Because when I think of Scott Hall and Jake Roberts, I always think of the nostalgia parts. I always think of the positives. And obviously, when you're in their shoes, I guess that would be a hard thing to overcome. And the internal battle that your mind has on you. It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. It's pretty deep. This is a pretty deep podcast, guys. When it's just me, there's no real questions. There's no real filter. I kind of just say what I'm thinking and then see what happens. But, okay, we're going to have a real quick commercial break. This podcast is going to be really quick today, guys. We're going to hear from our sponsors, About Time, RX Smart Gear, and the Mark Pro.
How do you stack the day? Try our new whey protein pancakes. They're so easy to make and amazingly delicious, with 21 grams of protein, made with power-packing ingredients and gluten-free. Start your day off right with About Time.
Love using RX jump ropes. Just more ergonomically correct for the hands, so I feel like I'm not squeezing my hands too hard when I'm using them. I love the fact that they're durable. I think I still have this first rope I ever bought from them, which was like 5 or 6 years ago. It still works. RX Smart Gear products are amazing as well, especially for me as a gym owner. They have so many tools that I get to use with my athletes as far as learning muscle ups, as far as learning pistols, things like that, where we get to progress them really slow and give them the basic foundations of what they need, like the rings that RX Smart Gear makes. Really helps solidifies that false grip that's so important. The fact that you can connect that band to the bottom of it and allow people to actually get through the range of motion in the muscle up is really good as well. It just builds that confidence in all of our members, so I love it. I'm Wes Pipe. Choose smart.
Let's go get up and move it out. Let's go get up and move it out. Let's move. Let's 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 move it out. Let's
Patreon lets fans become patrons of their favorite artists and content creators. It's different than Kickstarter because it's not about one big project that requires lots of funding. It's more for bloggers or YouTubers or webcomics, anyone who creates on a regular basis. Here's how it works. When you become a patron, you're agreeing to give an artist a tip of an amount you set every time they release a piece of content, whether it's a new song, a video, or a recipe. You can set a monthly maximum to make sure that you're always within your budget. Choose an amount, enter your payment information, and you're done. Becoming a patron allows you to view and post in the artist's stream, and in exchange for your support, artists offer additional patron packages, which might include monthly Google Hangouts, music production tutorials, pre-sale concert tickets, or anything they can offer as a way to say thanks. Patreon, empowering a new generation of content creators.
Yeah. Thank you to our sponsors, About Time, use our promo code Dion Sekone, get 25% off your online order. RX Smart Gear, use our promo code Honor and Conquer and get 10% off your custom-made ropes. Just the custom-made ropes, people, nothing else. Mark Pro, go to markpro.com, use our promo code Conquer and get exclusive discounts on both devices. And if you haven't yet, which I don't know how you're listening to this show, please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or any other device that you've used. Podbean, Stitcher Radio, Podcast Addict, anything. Please subscribe to our podcast. Rate the show, review the show, and share it with your friends. It'll mean a lot to me. It'll mean a lot to us. When I say us, I secretly mean me. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on before you wrap up this podcast is UFC 200. Now, I know if you guys have not subscribed to not only the podcast, but the YouTube channel that we have, which this video right here that I'm filming right now, that I'm looking at you square in the eyes, I'm like looking at you in the eyes. If you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, you're a fucking dummy, and you should. You should right now. I even put my hat backwards. And the people who are just listening to this podcast, they won't know that. Because I went Sylvester Stallone over the top styles, and I went from the front, and I switched it around, and I went to the back. That's how savage I am. When I switch it to the back, you know it's game time. All right? But if you haven't listened to or watched the vlog, I talked about Brock Lesnar's return to UFC 200, motherfuckers. Let's go through the card really, really quickly. Let's start from the bottom. Let's start this motherfucker from the bottom. Okay, Jim Miller versus Takanori Gomi. Okay, I'm going to actually give you my picks on this fight as I go through it. Jim Miller versus Takanori Gomi. Jim Miller by decision. Diego Sanchez versus Joe Lozon. Diego Sanchez by KO in the third. Gerard Mousasi versus Derek Bronson. I've got Mousasi by decision. Sage Norcutt by Enrique Marin. This is going to be a tricky one, but I'm going to say Sage. Oh, fuck. This is going to be a tricky one. Sage Norcutt by KO in the second. TKO. We'll go TKO. TJ versus Rafael Osuncao. I'm sorry, that's a Brazilian name. Got me off guard. I'm gonna say TJ by I'm gonna say Rafael. Rafael by decision. Let's have a look at his stats. Accuracy 43.6%. Wow, they're pretty similar. I'm still going with Rafael. Johnny Hendricks versus Kelvin Gastelum. Johnny Hendricks by KO in the first. Mark my fucking words. The first mother flipping round. Katsungano versus Juliana Pena. This is going to go decision. No doubt in my mind. Katsungano, you know when a fighter, they've got the edge over someone, just the potential to end it. Katsungano and Juliana Pena both have that edge, and I don't think they can out-edge each other. I feel like they're so on par with each other, and Juliana Pena is such a gritty woman, and this is going to be her first fight back in a long time. She's had the longest injury in possibly the universe, and this is Katsungano's first fight back in the octagon since her loss to Ronda Rousey. Oh, geez, last year? What did I say last year? Cain Velasquez versus Travis Browne. Got my boy Travis Browne by... You know, Cain Velasquez is always well known for his cardio within the heavyweights, but he just hasn't been performing like he has been for the past couple of fights. But I think Travis Browne could definitely outwork Cain now. Now, I've got Travis Browne. Jose Aldo versus Frankie Edgar. Got Jose on this one by KO. By KO in the second. Miesha Tate versus Amanda Nunes. I have a big problem with this fight, but that's okay. Business-wise, it sucks. Fight-wise, it's going to be awesome. I think this fight's going to be really, really cool. Miesha Tate versus Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes is coming off a decent win streak, I think. And of course, Miesha Tate has the bantamweight title. I personally think that Miesha Tate's going to take this into deep water, into the fifth, and win it by decision. Now, when I say that I'm not looking forward for this fight, I disagree with this fight. Amanda Nunes, I personally think that Kat Zingano should have got this title fight. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Kat Zingano should have got this. It would have been a great ratings builder. It would have been the rematch that people still remember from their last fight being a fucking grit fight. It would have been a cool rematch for Kat Zingano. But I get it business-wise, and I guess rankings, if that means anything anymore, with Amanda Nunes fighting against Miesha Tate. So I've got Miesha by decision. Okay, the co-main, the return of Brock Lesnar versus Mark Hunt. This one's a little tricky one because this is a one-and-done fight for Brock. And Mark Hunt said in an interview earlier that this doesn't affect his placement in the rankings. Which it may not, but it's going to affect... If Mark Hunt loses, I don't think he will, but if Mark Hunt loses, this is going to affect... This is definitely going to affect something. His grit? No, I don't think it will. It's going to affect something. It may affect his chances for the belt. Maybe. Strong maybe. And I love that he's from New Zealand now. They used to be Australia for the longest time. Brock Lesnar has got a one UFC fight in his contract for WWE. Which, if you guys are a wrestling fan, which would explain Brock Lesnar's last couple matches. They're very boring. They're very safe. They're very long. And the person who is working with at the time would have to do most of the work. So this is going to be an interesting fight. And thing that I completely glazed over, Brock Lesnar gets a 4-week exemption, a month, I think, exemption from USADA, from testing for steroids. And Mark Hunt doesn't. What does that mean? I mean, what does that tell you off the bat? Straight off the bat. USADA, or whoever does the drug testing for the UFC, they're giving Brock Lesnar a pass. So they're not going to test him at all. But Mark Hunt is still allowed to be tested for steroids or any other PEDs. I'm going to not say anything and move right along. Daniel Cormier versus John Jones for the unification of the light heavyweight belts. John Jones has been through a lot. He's been through a lot of drama. And Daniel Cormier has been keeping that belt warm for Mr. John Jones. I personally think that John Jones has got this. It probably may go to decision like it was the first fight, but this will be an interesting fight. The only loss that Daniel has was taken by John Jones. And the only loss that John Jones has was by a technical issue. For those of you who are looking at the video, that's right, motherfuckers. Watch the video so you can see what I'm explaining and describing. So, people on the video, when you got the person in ground and pound, which is basically either full guard in their guard position, mostly it's going to be in mount position, but you're allowed to throw elbows coming from a wide angle. If you can see this nice little motion that I'm doing. Egadash, and then you take this other elbow and then you go egadash. Okay, so you got two gadages, a gadash and another gadash. But you can't, what you can't do, people on video, is take it from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So you can't do a gada, and then you can't complete the gadaj. Okay? So there's no gadaj, there's only gadaj and the gadaj. Okay? So basically, what for the listeners, if you can't take the elbow and strike it right, so picture a kung fu karate guy, and he's going to elbow through concrete, straight through the ground. You've seen it on those classic movies thousands of times, and it's the elbow that comes down. And the reasoning why they can't do it is because of that reason. The dummies who made the rules said you can't do that, because if this elbow can break this concrete, what happens if you do that to a man's skull? Which is completely ridiculous. Whatever. But yeah, so that is the only loss, and it was to Mark Hamill. That was the only loss that John Jones had, was by a technical issue. He went for the 12 to 6 elbow when that was not allowed. And Steve Mazzagatti is a fucking prick. He should have taken the point off. But whatever. Anyway, but that's the main event. And I'm excited for UFC 200. I don't know if I want to go to a bar and watch it, because I hate watching fights in bars. The amount of time that I always hear people going, go for a takedown, take the leg, posture up, this is a fight. What else? What else have I heard? Oh, he's got him right where I want him. Like he's in the fight, and I fucking hate that shit. My hate radar turns on so strong when we go to bars to watch fights. It's ridiculous. If I was rich enough, I would prefer to watch the fights at home to do the whole UFC fight pass, but I'm not that rich. Pay-per-views are like $60, which makes me wonder, why do you have to pay that much? But anyway, yeah, UFC 200. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited for it. I cannot wait for it. These fights are going to be pretty sweet. And yeah, I think that I'm going to call that episode, guys. I said to you guys, I wanted to make it really, really short today, because I had a few things that I wanted to talk about, kind of get off my chest. And people who listen to this show, I really, really want to hear your feedback. Sorry. I really want to hear your feedback on these issues. The issue with, I guess I want to hear both sides of the story about gun control, because I don't know much about it. It's definitely, there is massive gun control in New Zealand, massive gun control. But in saying that, people still get their hands on guns illegally. But here in America, the thing that buzzed me out the most, and I will never, ever forget this, is that you can go into Walmart and you can buy yourself a rifle. Obviously, you have to have a license, but it's insane how easy it is here in America to get your hands on a firearm. It's the most oddest thing in the world. And I'll never forget when I was in the Walmart. So for New Zealanders at home, if you're watching this video, for New Zealanders, a Walmart here in America is kind of like the warehouse. It's kind of like the warehouse in New Zealand, but at this Walmart, aka warehouse, you can do anything you want. You can buy, like I said, you can buy firearms. You can do your grocery shopping at Walmart here. You could do, they got a chemist here. Pharmacy for you Americans. They got a chemist in Walmart. You can get your blood pressure done if you really wanted to. Yeah, so Walmart, you could do anything you want to do in Walmart. So that's basically what it's like in New Zealand. It's like a warehouse. But yeah, I'll never forget the day. I was kind of wandering around Walmart. I was with Megan and my mother-in-law, Mary, and I turned a corner and I saw all of these firearms just in the case, like the showing case, the glass case. And I said to myself, dang, this is insane. This is gnarly. everything I've heard about America with their firearms is true. It's true. It's easily accessible. You can totally get your hands on it. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, no, Dion, no, you can't. Well, you kind of can, but that's okay. You've grown up with it. And if you've stayed in America and never traveled anywhere else, I don't expect you to understand this, but that's okay. That's okay. Travel a little bit. Broadens the mind. But yeah, I want to hear your feedback. You know, why should we bear arms? Not we, because I'm not American. Why should you bear arms? You know, there's that rule in Texas, I think it is, that you're if they're on your property, you're allowed to shoot them. I think that's a rule. I'm so off if I'm wrong. But yeah, educate me, people. And if you know more about this whole thing, come on the podcast. I want you on the show so you can educate me more about this issue. Okay? Okay. Thank you very much to my sponsors, About Time, RX Smart Gear, Mark Pro. All of the sponsored links and the promo codes will be in the description of, if you're watching this on the video, will be in the description below. If you're listening to us iTunes, press the more information button and the links and everything will be on there. But if you're too lazy to fucking do that too, About Time, try abouttime.com, use my promo code Dion Sekone, get 25% off your online order. RX Smart Gear, rxsmartgear.com, use my promo code Honor and Conquer and get 10% off your custom made rope. Mark Pro, markpro.com, use my promo code Conquer and get exclusive discounts on both devices. And subscribe to the podcast. And if you want to, and I would really like it if you did, but support us on Patreon. This podcast has turned into something. There's no K on the end on that. This podcast has turned into something that I would have never imagined when we started this in 2015. Never in my wildest dreams. So please, if you want to support us if you don't know the backstory of the podcast, it was more of a way to sit down with my friends and talk to them about life and the things that they love and their passions and their goals. And now we're at episode 60, and I can't believe that this podcast, when we release an episode, I mean, there's bigger podcasts out there, obviously. It doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck. But when we release a podcast, it reaches almost 1,000 downloads every week. So I always judge it by how well a podcast will do in the first week, because people still download podcasts. Obviously, if they want to go and archive to the rest of the podcast. I had one person download episode 1 the other day. Episode 1. We're at episode 60. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with their brains and in their minds? Why do they think these things? Why do they want to hear episode 1 when it sounds like absolute shit? Yeah, ask that question. But no, yeah, we had someone download episode 1. Very humbling. Very humbling. I just used the iPad with its built-in microphone. Now I have a microphone in my hand. If you're watching this on the video, microphone in my hand. We've got a mixer right here. Some more cords over here. The iPad that I still use from episode 1 in my hand right now. Not in my hand, but it's right there. I'm pointing at it. I have to do notes now. It turned into something bigger than I thought, and it reaches people who can identify themselves with certain guests on the show. So yeah, I'm stoked that this has become something. But if you want to support us on Patreon, sorry guys, if you want to support us on Patreon, go to patreon.com/ what? Blah, blah, blah. Let's rewind that one. If you want to support us on Patreon, go to patreon.com/honor and conquer. And we've got the rewards on how much you will pledge. So let me break this down real quick for you. Real quick, one time. So if you pledge, let me go to the website real quick, because this is probably the only chance that I'll get to explain it to you guys. So only chance, guys. Okay. So this is how it works. Okay, so if you want to, it's a monthly subscription, so it's month by month by month. So there's no, as soon as you say for instance, it's not, you can cancel at any time. So that's why I say month by month. And then if you want to, say for instance, oh, you know what? I want to pledge just $1 a month. That's all I want to do. You'll get rewarded for that, for whatever a dollar will give you. So let's say you want a reward for $1. So what you'll get from me is an email from me saying thank you so much, a big shout out on our social media channels, a mention on our website thanking you and linking a business or a personal social media page in the podcast episode description, and you'll be entered in a quarterly prize package giveaway. So that's all that $1 gets you. You get a prize package, entry into a prize package, a big shout out on our website, and in the description of this podcast or any other podcast down the road, get a shout out on our social media pages and an email from me saying thank you very much, that I appreciate it, and maybe even answer any questions that you possibly have. And it just goes on from there. And then say, for instance, you want to pledge $5 to us a month. So what will $5 get you is access to the Patreon-only feed where you'll be the first to get podcast episodes before going to iTunes and Stitcher Radio. And not only that, you'll get everything else that was mentioned for the reward that $1 gets you. You see what I'm saying? So if you say $5, you'll get that. And then if you want to do $10 a month, you'll get entered into a draw for a prize package valued at $100, where the winner will be announced on episode 100 of this podcast. And then a shout out at the end of weekly podcasts. So say, for instance, you pledge to me $10 a month. I shout your name out at the end of this podcast, saying thank you very much, that you're a sexy person, that you should be friends with this person who I'm about to say. And on top of that, every other reward at the end that were mentioned in reward $5 and reward $1. So you kind of get what that means. So yeah, it's the only way that I can kind of make it fair. And because even though I appreciate having sponsors for the show, I want the show to be as transparent as possible, and I kind of want it to be run by you guys, to be honest. I want your say in this show, because this show, at the end of the day, I do everything on this damn thing. I do the expenses. I do the taxes for Honor and Conquer. I do the social media for the Honor and Conquer. I edit the vlogs for Honor and Conquer. I edit the podcasts for Honor and Conquer. I create every single thing that you touch, that you see, that you hear. I create all of it. And having this monthly pledge will just help me out a little bit more to get the content out not only faster, but have higher quality as well. So, yeah, it'll mean a lot to me. It'll mean a lot to us. And I'll love you forever and ever. Forever and always. Okay, I'm out, people. If you want to get in touch with me, follow me on all the things that you should be following me on already. Okay, goodbye.